You're listening to Why Germany podcast, the best place for relocation stories and expert tips, sponsored by Over the Offek, relocation agency to Germany, with your host, Eden Levine.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. My name is Eden Levine, and with me is the wonderful Gitanjali More.
Yes,
Yes,
that's right.
Also known as the confused mother. We're going to talk about it soon. So, Gitanjali, could you please tell us why Germany?
So it's actually a very non-glamorous answer. Somebody asked me why I learned German. So I learned German like 20 years ago while I lived in India. And they asked me, why did you decide to learn German? It's such a difficult language. And I said, because the French Institute, the Alliance Française, was too far away from our home. It was just as simple. It was just as simple as that.
Okay.
And so that's how I started learning German. And then I didn't actually plan to do anything with it, but it ended up being so much fun. I made so many great friends at the Institute and so on. And then much later, after I did a number of jobs in India that kept me in touch with Germany and the German language, is when I decided to come here in 2014, which is now almost 10 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
And back then also, there was no like burning desire to come to Germany. It was just that a lot of things kind of fell into place at the same time. So I got a visa, I got a spot at a university, I got a scholarship, which was like the biggest, most amazing thing. Because I said, I'm not paying to study again, because I had already studied in India. And so when everything just kind of fell into place, I said, hey, this is my next big adventure. This is what I'm going to do. And that's how I came here. So French Institute was too far away, which is why I came here to Germany, because I learned German.
Honestly, this is, I think, so far the most interesting answer to why Germany that I've heard. Okay, so let's take it back a little bit and hear more about your story, because I understand that you studied German from like your school, right? Like your
No, I learned German at the Goethe Institute in India.
At the Goethe Institute, but for what reason?
So my sister had already learned German, and she had moved to Germany, so she moved around that time, and then my mother said, yeah, don't you also want to learn German? Seems like fun. And I said, no, I don't want to do it.
She clearly did not learn German herself.
I said, I don't want to do what she does. I want to do my own thing. And then, so initially I went very reluctantly to the German classes. Unfortunately, I fell in love with it. It was so much fun.
Oh my God. Unfortunately, I fell in love with it. Amazing.
Yeah. What I mean is, like, I was 19 years old and feeling all defiant and so on. And then
like you tried to be rebellious, but it like hit you back in the face kind of situation. Okay.
Right.
Did your mother learn German as well?
She learned a little bit, yes. So she understands quite a bit. She speaks also a little bit, but it was for her purely out of interest, and even
amazing.
For me, purely out of interest. And then just, everything, as I said, fell into place. Yeah.
Amazing. So you're 19 years old, you're learning German, you're unfortunately falling in love with it. And but then what? So you're like, okay, I've learned it. I'm putting it somewhere aside, and now I'm going for my studies.
No, so basically I was doing my bachelor's while I learned German alongside my university studies, and then I got recruited for a job as a translator right after my bachelor. So I finished my final exams of my bachelor, and 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, I started my job as a translator. So while I was learning German, Bosch Translation Services came to the institute that I was at, and they were doing like mass recruiting. So I think I got recruited with like 10 or 15 other people.
Oh, wow.
And they were building their translation department at the time. So that's the reason. And I said, wow, I have a job offer straight out of my bachelor's, which is very unusual in India. And so I said, yeah, I'm going to do it. And it involved me moving to another city. And that was a crazy adventure for me at the time. I was just as I was 20 at the time. And in India, you do things quite differently from here. So you finish school when you're 16 and 17, and then you immediately go into your bachelor's. So by the time you're 20, you're already done with your bachelor's degree. And in Germany, a lot of people haven't even started their bachelor's at the age of 20.
Right.
In a lot of cases. Yeah. So.
Okay. And so you're going to be a translator. And
Yes,
then,
so I
then
started
what?
working as a translator. They basically taught us how to use the program. They did a little bit of an induction, and they grew their translation department for over the next 2-3 years pretty drastically. So people kept coming in even after us, and so there was a lot of opportunity to grow. And I was there for about 2 years, and then I kind of came to the conclusion that I think it's time for me to also get a master's degree. So I left that job, and then I did an MBA in communications, very standard for my generation to do an MBA.
Right.
And so that's what I did. And then after that, I had for a very brief stint, I had a corporate job at a public relations agency, and I hated it, unfortunately. And so that caused, or rather fortunately, because it caused a very drastic shift in my career. I said, I don't want to make lots of money. I want to have fun at the work that I do. And so I moved to a couple of different places. And I don't know how much detail you want me to go into. And then like my last job was again with German. So I was working for the Heinrich Böll Stiftung in Delhi, and doing their work on democracy and conflict. So it was a non-profit international relations job. And after doing that job for 2.5 years, I thought, I would like to study more. And that's when, as I said in the beginning, everything kind of fell into place. And and then I just came to Germany.
Yeah. Wow. So first time in Germany.
It was my first time in Germany was when I was 18.
18. Okay.
Yeah.
But first time as actually living there.
Yes.
Where was it?
I moved to Göttingen.
To Göttingen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And tell us like, okay, well, which age was that?
That was when I was 30 already.
You were 30. So you're 30.
Yeah.
First time you're moving abroad, like really leaving the country. Tell us how it's like.
So you have to understand the drastic difference in my living situation. So I lived in Delhi before I moved to Göttingen. Delhi is a huge city.
Wow.
It's a massive, massive city.
Yeah.
And I lived in a really nice apartment, but right next to a hospital, which was also a trauma center. So you kept hearing ambulances going past in the middle of the night. So I came from that chaos to Göttingen, which is like a small university town in the middle of Germany. It's a route, so it's really well connected to everything in Germany. But still, small. And I said, wow, it's so quiet here.
I can hear my thoughts.
I love it. And yeah, I mean, I came here, and as I said, my sister was living here, so she also joined me, and I found a WG. I was so lucky. I found a WG in a week. 2 weeks, I think.
Wow.
And it was really, I remember that at the time there was a housing crisis. Even that long ago, there was a housing crisis, which has now just gotten worse. And there were people like emergency beds and so on being set up for students because they just couldn't afford or couldn't find enough housing. So I felt really lucky at the time. And there was obviously, as in Germany, lots of paperwork to get done. But I realized very quickly that this whole thing of paperwork and German love for paperwork is actually really good because it protects us as well. On this side of the equation. It really protects you and keeps you also, on top of things. The only thing is that you have to hold on to every single piece of paper that the German state sends you, because
for 10 years.
like, yeah, for like 20 years later, they'll be like, yeah, you remember when you moved to Germany, we gave you this one piece of paper. Where is it?
Yeah.
We would like to see it now.
For the funsies, I want to see it now. Yeah,
So,
for those who don't know, by the way, WG is Wohnungsgemeinschaft. It's actually,
like a shared apartment.
shared apartment, exactly. So
Yeah.
where you have roommates in German, it's called WG. All right, and you now live in Berlin.
Yes, I moved here in 2017.
Yeah, and you have a whole new shift to your career, basically.
Yes.
Tell us about the confused mother.
Yeah. So after my studies, I moved to Berlin, like almost everyone does, in search, with big dreams, and like your heart is full of hope and optimism, and you think, yeah, I've studied politics, let me go to the capital city and look for work. And I felt kind of flat on my nose. I didn't find work at all. So I did I found work to keep me going, and it was not anything that I thought I might get. You assume things, and you hope for things, and it didn't work out like that. Anyway, so after a lot of different things, I kind of ended up back at the Heinrich Böll Stiftung. Something freed up, and they asked me if I would be interested, and I applied for it, and I got it. And so I was there, but unfortunately it was a limited contract. It was not a permanent contract, but I said, okay, fine. And then I got married, got pregnant, and I was on Elternzeit, was on leave for a year. And then during my leave, I think that the whole experience of becoming a mother was so life-altering, was so life-changing. And as I said, I've been working in the nonprofit area for a really long time. And so this whole like activist in me is very strong. And so I got really, to be honest, pissed off. And I said, why aren't more people talking about this? Why aren't more people talking about how crazy it is to become a parent?
Oh,
And and so that's how that was kind of the spark that that caused me to start thinking about this whole question of parenting in Germany, like in a country that's not your home. And then, like all the paperwork that we had to do around having kids, having our child, was also, applying for child benefits, applying for parental leave, applying for parental benefits, and baby's birth certificate, and all of these things. And we had to do a lot of research. And to be honest, after we got done is when we realized that we could have done things a lot better, a lot more differently, and a lot more efficiently. And so I said, okay, we've done all this research. Let me give it to other people. And that was the birth of my,
of your second child.
Exactly. So when I think it was about a year and a half after I became a mom that I kind of got started. So last year in January, I started my business in which, or through which, I help international parents living in Germany who may or may not speak German to understand everything around pregnancy, childbirth, paperwork. I I have a session with someone tomorrow, and she was like, "Oh, can you help me? I have no idea what I have to do." So she has no idea what she has to do. So I have those people, but I also have some people who are like, Anna, I know exactly what to do. I just need you to check whether it's correct. So I have all of that, that entire range of
the whole
people.
spectrum.
Exactly.
Right.
And so that was it. And then, I had also been offering workshops. I love offering workshops and moderation of trainings. And I was also doing job coaching for a while. And I said, hey, you know what? This whole question of after your parental leave, what do you want to do? Do you want to go back to the same job? A lot of people, your priorities change when you become a mom. And then you need more flexibility to take care of your child and so on. So I said, let me just combine all of these things. So these are the two main aspects of my work right now. One is to help understand the bureaucracy and apply for all the paperwork and financial benefits that you can get. And the second one is job coaching after your Elternzeit, after your parental leave. If you're looking for a new job, or if you're looking for employment in Germany for the first time. And this, I was very lucky right from the beginning that I could also take on clients who are unemployed and registered at the job center or the Agentur für Arbeit.
You're working with them.
So I also work with them. So I do private coaching. I have like 2 coaching packages which I offer, but I also work with clients from there. So I have these different channels through which I get people.
Yeah. Just for those who basically don't know about the job center or the Agentur für Arbeit, could you just give a hint about like what does that mean?
Yeah, I was just about to say. So if you are unemployed in Germany, you can register as a job seeker or as unemployed with the Agentur für Arbeit, which is the agency for like everything related to your job and employment. And they also, depending on, like, there are certain prerequisites that you have to fulfill in which you can also get unemployment benefits. And if you are married or have like a family income, then if you don't exceed a specific amount, you can also get unemployment benefits. So there is it's not so easy to explain right now, but essentially what they do is they help you with financial benefits when you're unemployed, but they also help you with the use of vouchers to get free coaching, which is what I would do, is to get free coaching to start a business or to find a job. And the second thing is that they can also give you what's called a Bildungsgutschein, which is a voucher with which you can do a course. So there's a lot of boot camps available in Germany in areas like data analytics, data science, UX, UI design, coding, graphic design. There's lots of different things, project management. And you could get a voucher, and these courses would then be financed by the Agentur für Arbeit.
While you receive your unemployment benefits. Yes. A lot of the times. Yes, that's actually quite interesting, and especially for those who are, I heard a lot of those who are maybe fired or maybe, stopped their employment from any reason. And then they're like, you know what, now that I have the time to think, I have no idea what I want to do. Yeah. And that is actually where this Agentur für Arbeit comes in, and they help you. My husband even did that. They have even like those sessions where you go and check what is it that you want to do from here on. So, and he actually told me, and I was very surprised, there are many people there who are above the age of 40 and 50. So it's like those revelations can come even later. But let's go back to like pregnancy and being a mother in Germany, because I mean, I haven't experienced it, but I understand that there's a whole world behind this. And especially that you're saying, hey, it's not only expats that are confused about this. It can be also like Germans, or can be those who speak German. Definitely. And in general, I think when it comes to bureaucracy in Germany, even Germans sometimes don't understand that. It's like, can be very, very hard or confusing as like, how did you come up with this name? I'm like, really, I loved the name when I saw it the first time. Really tell me.
Thank you. I also love it because that's me.
Like the target group is there. Like they know, okay, I am
in the name.
I was like, it's you know that you belong there if you are a confused mother. How do you come up with this name?
And that's exactly what I was trying to do, because somebody said, they're like, oh, don't you want to like make it something positive and give it a more positive spin? And I said, yes. That is the aspiration, that you want to be happy and free and thriving and I don't know, whatever else.
But it's not the reality. It's not the current reality.
Exactly. I wanted to capture how most women feel when they become mothers. But I think that's not only for mothers, it's for parents in general. But I feel like the confused parents didn't sound so nice.
Okay. So for you to know if you are a father, you're still welcome to the confused mother.
Yes. And I think, I actually think that the fathers, or not only the partners, should actually take over the paperwork part of it, because the person who is pregnant and having the baby is already busy doing all this work of producing the baby.
Yeah.
The partner, if
figuring out stuff on your own body that are new, and like the hormones and stuff like that, just like take it. Yeah. I would be very interested to hear like the overall culture of raising children in Germany, and especially, let's say, compared to other countries. Tell me about this.
I think it's something that a lot of international parents are confronted with, the very stark differences in raising children. I think one of the biggest differences that I have noticed also as an Indian, and while also hearing from other parents that I've spoken to, is the treatment offered by doctors, for example. When you have a baby and they are ill,
Right.
you feel like you would do anything in your power to make them not be like that, to just smile again and jump around and annoy the crap out of you. But in Germany, they're like, here, drink some tea. And
Are you considering relocation to Germany? Visit us now at www.overtheoffic.com and schedule a call with us right now.
It sounds like put some dirt on it.
then get some fresh air, go for a walk, and I think that for parents, it's one of the most frustrating things, because you feel so helpless and you would
Right.
really like to do something and make your child healthy again. And this
Right.
whole thing of like, wait it out and come back in 3 days and so on, like, this is for most parents extremely frustrating, especially because we are not used to it. And there is definitely a plus side to that, right? Like saying that let your body do the work, because that's how you strengthen your immunity.
Right.
But that's the rational side of it. The emotional side of it is like, do something, please.
Let me get this straight. Sorry that I'm stopping you, but is that the doctor saying like, hey, get some tea and take fresh air? Is that the doctor saying this?
Yes.
Wow, I can just imagine like the frustration.
Yes.
Like, but he's hurting now, not like in 3 days.
Exactly.
So what do you do?
But also what I've noticed that some, like in a lot of cases, it can actually be solved with just time and patience, because obviously fever, for example, is a sign of your body fighting an infection and needs to do the work. You need to give it some time. But on the other hand, I've also heard from some parents that it has gone sideways, that their child actually had something more severe, like a severe ear infection or a severe something, and the doctors were just like, yeah, come back in 3 days. And the parents listened to their gut instinct and got an expert in consultation, and turned out that their instinct was right. So this is also something that I have heard. So it can go both ways. And so I always tell the parents that I speak to, I'm like, always follow your instincts, because we are often not wrong. And like, I would rather say that even if you get criticized for overreacting, fine, I overreacted, but it's my child.
Yeah.
So like, that's in the medical side of it.
I guess especially if it's your firstborn, then you're like, okay, I'm now figuring everything out.
Yeah.
And
you feel even more insecure, and especially
yeah.
when it's your firstborn, but also when it's your first child in a foreign country, because a lot of people come with one kid and then they have a second or a third kid here.
Yeah.
And in that case, it's a completely different experience, because everyone will tell you who has had kids, every body is different, every baby is different, every pregnancy is different, every childbirth is different.
Right.
Like, if I were to have a second pregnancy, that would be probably a completely different experience. Even the childbirth and the child itself is also going to be different.
So it's like every time it's a new experience, although it's already the second or third.
Exactly. Yeah. And of course, you've done it with your first child, so you've had all the fear and everything. And so with the second child, you feel a little bit more confident. You realize they are more robust. You realize all of these things. So, okay, anyway, but that's more like the medical and caretaking side of it. The cultural differences, I think, is also, and I think this was one of the most important things I heard when I first moved to Germany, is you don't wait for good weather. You wait for good weather, yeah, because you'll be waiting a long time. And in India, there is this mindset, oh, it's too sunny, it's too hot, we're not going out. Oh, it's raining, we're not going out. Oh, it's too cold, we're not going out. So there's always an excuse to not go out. But in Germany, Germans will just get the right clothing and go outside. And I think that's very important, especially in the cold months, in the winter, dark months, or even now. Oh, it's horrible weather. It's like constantly hot and cold and raining and sunny and everything at the same time. Especially those times, you have to, like, no matter how much you don't want to, you have to go outside, because like we are like plants. We need water and air and sun.
Right. Yeah. No, it's so important you're saying this. Actually, I now remember that they say, like in Denmark, if I'm not mistaken, that they put the strollers outside, like the when they go. Was it in Denmark? That they go to a restaurant, for example. Sorry.
In Finland.
In Finland. Maybe. So one of the Scandinavian countries for sure.
Yeah.
So they put their strollers outside and they go in and the baby stays outside. I mean, they keep them super warm, but so they will get some fresh air all the time. And yeah, that's true, because I remember also in Israel, like you have, I don't know, 1 month of bad weather or like all rainy and storms and so on. And then the rest of the time you're out. So it's fine.
Yeah.
Like you can be picky about the days, but if you are in Germany, you cannot be picky. Like really.
Exactly.
The best solution, get a dog.
Yeah, that's true. Or a child. You also have to go out with them all the time. It's just a lot more work than a dog.
I mean, both of them together is probably like chaos. So yeah, only get a dog if you're completely like well taken care of when it comes to your baby.
Yeah, and then I think also there's so many cultural differences, right? Like, so social contacts also, you have to be proactive, because I remember somebody asked in a Facebook group, they said, we know that our children are more lonely now because of cultural differences. And I said, why? It's your job to make friends. It's your job to plan play dates and talk to people and be more proactive, because they are children. They can't do it themselves. So we as parents have to take on this responsibility of building a friend circle and community around us. And it doesn't happen as automatically as it may have happened in your own home country. So that's another very big difference, that you have to proactively like put yourself out there and make friends, especially when you have kids. It becomes even more challenging. So
I mean, the kids also don't know that they have like this cultural differences. It's not in their mindset at all. For them, it's, I have a friend, I want to play with them. Doesn't matter if you speak the same language or not. Like, get over it, kind of.
No, they don't. They don't really care.
They don't care.
Differences. No, that's right. And then the last and most important one, which is why I also do my work, is of course all of these benefits that you can get. And I always say that, when you are moving to Germany, you're leaving behind probably a big support system of family, friends, relatives, and also the familiarity of the language and culture that you're coming from. And so when you come to Germany, you probably are alone. The good thing is that when you become a parent, you have so much support available to you. And so it is in your interest as an expat, as an international person, family, to make sure you get all of this support. Yeah. And this doesn't include only things like Elterngeld and Kindergeld, which are the financial benefits, which of course are a huge help, but also includes things like services that your insurance takes over. Which can be a birth preparation class, it's a postnatal recovery class, it's a midwife. The support from a midwife is really, really helpful. And there are so many things that you can get support with. So since you most likely don't have a support system here, you can get the support from the state. Right. And I think that can make your life much easier.
I mean, I would even suggest, and even if somehow in a miracle way you came with your family or with friends or whatever, you still have those benefits.
Exactly.
Use them. Like midwife, I wouldn't want someone that I know to be my midwife, or like I want to have someone who knows what they're doing.
No, but what I think is also like not maybe not the work of the midwife, but a midwife is not only there during childbirth, she's going to help you after that as well, to check how the baby's developing and also check your recovery and so on. And all of these things are tasks that a midwife would do in the first 10, 11 days after the baby's born. But traditionally in India, for example, the women in the family would do that. Or you have these specialized women who come to massage the mother and the baby, and bathes the baby, bathes the mother. I know that my mother had that when she had us.
Wow. Okay.
So you have these specialized women, and they are not known as midwives, but they have this is what they do, this is their job.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
And
I've
so
never heard of it before, so it's interesting.
it's there in a lot of cultures. And of course, your mom, your sister, your aunts, your grandmother. So all like this kind of support is especially what in India comes up very often.
Mhm.
And I know that people who have come here and had kids here, they really contemplate going back to their home countries because this is missing, because they
Wow.
find that connection.
Yeah.
And so I think that for your listeners, a very important message would be that if you are coming to Germany, you have to really be proactive and make connections, make sure you get all the information. And the good thing is that if you need help with parenting, then you just come to my website and check out everything, because everything is there. And Over the Offic will give you everything related to relocation services. And
Right.
there are people who are now there to help you make your move to Germany really smooth. And that's a lot more than I had, for example, when I moved.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the kind of thing that I'm super happy to have in terms of this expat community. So they understand you the most, right? And I also know like the Indian community is also pretty big in Germany. So you can always find someone who understands you, who knows your culture and can help you in whatever journey you're going through. And the more you, like you said, being proactive in terms of creating those networks and creating those connections, the more you won't feel like you are not at home anymore. So like you create the home where your community is. And even though you might not get the full experience of your culture, you're at least getting some of it, but you're also getting the benefits that Germany is offering, and they are offering a lot. So if we are talking about benefits, I mean, you spoke about midwife and you spoke about some courses the insurance are giving. Tell us more about the actual bureaucratical process that you have to go through when you're I mean we can stay here for hours, right? Like how long do we have? But I mean this is a very major point, right? Like you're not only thinking about, oh my God, now I'm going to have a baby and how is it going to affect my life? Because you're in Germany, you have to think about how is the bureaucracy process going to go for me? So maybe give us like the head, like the titles of every, like the process, just so that we understand what's the process is.
Like I said, how many hours do you have?
We can be here all day.
Exactly. So, no, but just to give you a little bit of overview, there is something that you need to also pay attention to is all the documents that you have in another language, like your birth certificate or your marriage certificate or whatever. They might need to be translated in some cases. If they're not in English, you need to get stamps. So all of these things, I always recommend making sure you do your paperwork during pregnancy so that you don't have to like panic once the baby is born and you anyway don't have a clear mind and you're not like, you're sleep deprived or whatever the reality is of having kids. So to do the paperwork during pregnancy, so translations, and then you have to collect all your papers also from your employer when you're applying for parental benefits, for example. So in Germany, the way it works is that parents, if you apply for leave and Elterngeld, which is the financial benefit, is you get 14 months together. And so families with a net taxable income of less than 200,000 euros a year are entitled to get these benefits. And it can be for the first 14 months of the child's life. And there are different ways in which you can combine it. There are ways in which you can extend the leave, you can extend the financial benefit and so on, which is why I asked you how many hours, because it's really not a very easy topic to just talk about like this. And that is called Elterngeld and Elternzeit. One of the biggest misconceptions is that they are one and the same, which is not true. Elterngeld you get for the first 12/14 months of the child's life, but Elternzeit is your parental leave. You can get up to 3 years. And you can do it in a maximum of 3 phases. Yeah, so you can get leave for much longer than you get parental benefits.
Right.
That is those are the two things. Then you have Kindergeld, which is child benefits. So everyone who has children here can get child benefits or Kindergeld. That's 250 euros a month. I also help with the application for that. And you know, at the beginning of the episode, I said all the paperwork that you have to keep. So your child, as soon as it's born, will get a tax number, a tax ID, as soon as it's born. And this will be the tax ID that they will have for the rest of their lives in Germany.
So keep it close.
Exactly.
Keep it close.
And so that is what you will use and need. Then also once the child is born and you apply for the birth certificate, you get multiple copies of the birth certificate also to submit with these applications. So they are specifically for these applications. Yeah, and then you have to obviously constantly inform your insurance about the updates and the changes, how much that you are pregnant, that when the baby is due to be born, and how much Elternzeit you're going to take, and so on. So all of these things, you're in constant touch with your insurance as well. Now, the good thing I feel is also that health insurances in Germany are pretty good at keeping in touch. They're very helpful. So if you have questions about, what kind of support you can get and so on, you can also speak to your insurance about it. They can also help you.
And by insurance, we're meaning health insurance, like the public health insurance normally.
Public health insurance, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so this is these are a couple of things that
the tip of the iceberg.
Tip of the iceberg, and that's what So like coming to also the work that I do, these are some of the things. These are some of the things that are available to parents here, and not all of it. And there's so many different things, so many things that work differently, which is why I put all of this information into videos,
right.
And you can get them on my website. So if you are coming here and pregnant or coming here and going to have a baby soon, you should definitely get them, because I explain everything in great detail. There are videos that you can watch for like over and over again, make notes, free downloads, free PDFs, and so on. So all of this, because exactly this, it's so complicated and it's not easy to explain in just one go.
Yeah, and it's not an hour and a half webinar and you go by it, and it's like many. And also we do some webinars together, so keep in touch with Over the Offic as well, because we also have some that are in the pipeline and it's going to be very interesting. Let's we could have been here for hours really, but if you would have thought about like tips for parents who are going to move to Germany first time, what would be the tips that you would share with them? 1 or 2 or 3, like around that.
What I said earlier about like, getting the support that you need. And I think that a big part of that is building your local community. There is something that if you are listening from any other country, you might not know. They're called family centers, or in German Familienzentrum. So those are in every locality in Berlin, for example. They are almost like every other street has them, where you can basically meet up with other parents. You have lots of cafes that are also for kids. Especially in the bigger cities, you have a lot more options, And then the best place to also make friends is at the playground. So you take your kids to the playground and make friends. When you do the birth preparation course during pregnancy, that's a great way to make friends. To really like put yourself out there and build your local community. That I think is a tip that I can give, regardless of whether you're coming here as a student or as as an employed person or as an accompanying spouse. All of that, like build your local community and make yourself feel at home. Build a life with a long-term like perspective.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
That's really what I can say. And of course, I mean, you have the offer of the confused mother when you're becoming a parent. You could find a lot of information there. So what I'm trying to say is that there are a lot of resources out there. I plan also a lot of meetups here locally in Berlin, and so there are a lot of options with which you can build your community and get information and so on. So
Right.
yeah, and of course learn German.
Yeah, learn German.
It
Absolutely.
really
This
helps.
is like
It makes a big difference. Even if you think that, oh, I'm going to be in Berlin, it's such an international city, or I don't know, Frankfurt or Stuttgart or whatever, or even Leipzig is now so international, but still everything is still very German. So it would be in your best interest also to at least learn some German. And
yeah, even to work later with the kindergarten, with the
exactly.
teachers and so
Yeah.
on, there is no guarantee they will speak English.
Exactly.
So the faster you think about this, like you don't want to wait for pregnancy for that.
Exactly.
But even if you are, I would say definitely go about this and learn as like the earliest you can start would be the best. And I really second this, like find your community, because they are your alternative for family. Basically, because the rest are missing, but they can be your help in that situation. And this is
you might feel that people are not so open about about reciprocating. I remember that when I was a student and I said, okay, I need to make some friends, what I did was I told my roommates, my flatmates, I said, okay, let's do a dinner, and then we just can you call your friends? And then that's how the circle grew. And when you're at university, it's easy to build those kinds of friendships. But in the city, when you also a parent, then you have to kind of proactively plan play dates and so on. And
but you for sure are going to find meetups that are for parents, or you are not the only parent living in Berlin that needs friends. So just go about this and be proactive and just talk to people. I completely agree. Totally. So how can the audience find The Confused Mother?
With the name, The Confused Mother, it's everywhere. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram as The Confused Mother. And my website is theconfusedmother.com.
Right.
So that's how you can find me everywhere. I'd love to hear from your listeners. If you have any questions, about my work or about moving to Germany with kids, planning kids.
Yeah. Be in touch with us, because we might do a Q&A together, or we might do a webinar together soon. And you'll have the chance to ask all the questions that you want to ask around this topic. So Gitanjali, thank you so much that you joined to the podcast. We had a blast to hear from you, and I hope to hear from you soon again. Thank you so much.
It would be my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me, Eden.
Absolutely.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this episode of Why Germany. If you want to learn more about relocation, make sure to visit overtheoffect.com, your relocation experts.